What is going on, everyone? This is the Philly Frenzy Podcast here. I'm your host, Matt. As always, I'm with my buddy, Rob. What is going on, Rob?
Enjoying the day, enjoying my time here with you and the fans of the podcast out there, and getting ready to talk some NFL quarterback prospects.
Yeah, so like Rob said, I have been drug tested. No, it was not because of this list. I I had to get drug tested for a new job that I'm going to be taking. So, no, I don't do crack before you ask after you hear my list.
I secretly got this new job to double check for crack because of this man's list. Sadly, somehow it came back negative, so I just assume he hit his head at this point.
All right.
So, T's and P's for Matt and his possible concussion.
All right, so we're doing our top 5 quarterback prospects coming out of this draft. As anybody who follows me on Twitter or knows me in real life, Trevor Lawrence is not the best quarterback in this draft class. In my opinion, since about 2012, when I first started scouting quarterbacks, I've been right about 75% of the time when it comes to quarterbacks being good, quarterbacks struggling, quarterbacks not panning out. And it's not that I don't see Trevor Lawrence panning out. I don't think he's better than the 2 guys I have in front of him. I do think the 2 guys in front of him are going to be guys that are going to be in the conversation with Patrick Mahomes. As the face of the NFL, a couple years from now. Let's just jump right into this list. I'm going to start at 5. I really went back and forth with this. Kyle Trask is not actually in my list. That probably doesn't surprise a lot of you guys because a lot of you guys probably don't have Kyle Trask in your list. But Trask was really that 5B for me. But I'm going to go with Justin Fields here at 5.
See, I told y'all he hit his head.
All right, Rob, who do you got at 5? What do you got at 5, Rob?
Me, I have Mac Jones fit. I love his football IQ and his intelligence. Everything about his throwing arm, I hate. I don't think he has enough arm strength for the NFL. And even though if you looked at his statistics in college, he looks like he's the most accurate passer ever, and that Drew Brees couldn't even tie his shoes. But every time the dude throws the ball, he's thrown to a wide receiver that busted coverage by 5 yards. So can't make those throws. I mean, you probably didn't even get out of Pee Wee football as a quarterback. So I just don't trust that he's going to have the arm talent for the next level as a starter. I think his comparison to me would be like a weaker armed, slightly less gunslinger, so slightly more accurate Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think he's super intelligent and has high football IQ, but the arm talent is not quite at the elite level, and his play, I think you'll see a lot of up and down from him in the NFL, hot and cold.
All right, I can't disagree with you. I've said the Mac Jones comparison on my end really is a Ryan Tannehill possible. I think he's going to be in between Nick Foles and Ryan Tannehill. He could be a guy that comes out and has a one-year wonder and then goes on to be a career backup. I don't think he's going to win the Super Bowl for Philadelphia. I hope he's not in Philadelphia. But, I think he's right in between the Nick Foles, Ryan Tannehill. Fitzpatrick's a good comparison. I do also, it's a lot of comparisons, but you also have to kind of look towards like an Alex Smith. I think he's going to be a time management quarterback. He's going to be a game manager. He's not going to be a guy who comes in and can control a game like the other four guys.
He literally might be the second coming of Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, he's not going to come in and control the game like the next four guys that you have on your list. So, go ahead, shoot me four.
So, I know I was making fun of you, but here's Justin Fields for me. There's just I struggle to put in Ohio. I know this shouldn't be a knock on him, but I really struggle to put an Ohio State quarterbacks super high on my list. Seeing this exact prototype of quarterback come out of Ohio State for like 6 straight years now, and none of them actually do anything in the NFL. I think the most successful one turned into a wide receiver to become semi-relevant. So until I can be, I would love to be proven wrong here. But I just think the other, and I'm not saying that Justin Fields is a poor quarterback by any means. From the film I've watched, he's very talented. I just think that the 3 guys above him are either more talented or just as talented, but with more upside. So that's where I'm at on that. So I know you had Fields 5. Who do you have 4?
We're flip-flopped. I have Mac Jones at 4.
Okay. I kind of figured, but
I'm not going to touch much on Mac like you did. I'm going to jump back down to my 5 pick here with Justin Fields. Justin Fields, one thing that I saw a lot on with his tape is his footwork and his pocket presence. And yes, Mac Jones may not be gifted the same talent level that Justin Fields has. But one thing with Mac Jones is Mac Jones understands a clean pocket. He knows how to find it. He climbs up and down the pocket very well. And that's one thing when I look at a quarterback, one of the biggest things I look for is their footwork and the way they control themselves and compose themselves under pressure. And I do believe Justin Fields is by far the worst of the 5 with footwork and under pressure. Them 2 things are usually something that has a quarterback struggle in the NFL. I know I made a comparison just yesterday to you. Justin Fields reminds me of the last 2 seasons of Carson Wentz. The only difference is Carson Wentz was able to hide it a little bit more because of his arm talent, where Justin Fields, I believe, makes too many boneheaded mistakes. Now, if you look at his interception ratio, or his interceptions, he only has 9 in 2 years. So you're like, all right, what is he talking about when he's saying miscues or not doing well with the ball? It's his completion percentage. Him having a 68.4 career completion percentage in 2 years, that's what everybody would want. You would think that's like the best thing in the world coming out of college. But when you compare that to a guy like Mac Jones, Mac Jones' best year was last year, in 2019, he had a 77.4 completion percentage, and in his career he had a 74.3. Yes, it's Alabama quarterback. We know how that works in the NFL, but it's the same thing with Ohio State. And
it used to work really well in the NFL, by the way, for our younger fans that don't know quite the history of the NFL. Back in the day, there was a couple of great quarterbacks that came out of Alabama, but in the past, 15, 20 years, there hasn't been.
So with Fields and Jones, and also with Kyle Trask, because I do have Trask at 5B, I kind of was going down a checklist, and why Fields fell below Jones. Yes, Fields has a more gifted arm. I do feel like Fields has a better deep ball than Mac Jones and Kyle Trask. And that's kind of what gave Fields the advantage over Trask. But I had to give Jones the advantage over Fields. He understands pocket presence. He doesn't collapse under pressure. And as much as you made a comment on the way he throws the football,
none exists.
Mac Jones throws the football. His mechanics are NFL ready. Where Fields is going to be a guy, perfect example, Fields is Jalen Hurts. He's going to be your project guy. Do I think he could have a better career than Mac Jones? Yeah. Do I think he's going to have a better first season than Mac Jones? Did they both play starting right after the draft? No. I think Mac Jones is better than Fields right now.
See, and part of me agrees with you that Mac Jones might be a little more NFL ready. One, I know he'll pick up a playbook faster than Justin Fields. He will pick up a playbook faster than any quarterback in this draft or in probably the last 7 drafts. Dude is that level of mental acuity for the game. But I'm not drafting. The reason I have him below Fields is because I would rate them fairly equal on current talent. Mac Jones a little bit ahead. But as far as potential talent goes, I think Justin Fields has superstar potential with the right team and right coaching staff, where I think Mac Jones will never see that superstar level. He'll be above average at best.
My take, I don't think either one of these quarterbacks play in the NFL more than 8 years.
The only way they play more than 8 years in the NFL is if one of them happens to be the guy that gets drafted to San Francisco and gets to work with Kyle Shanahan and have, that A-plus offensive line, that A-plus run game, that B-plus wide receiving core, and if healthy, that A-plus tight end.
Yeah, well, Trey Lance is going there.
Yeah, I don't know who they're taking. They've literally been rumored to take everybody at this point. So, if we followed my chart of scouting here and the first 2 picks go the way everybody says that they're going to go, which is Lawrence and Wilson, then I would obviously have him taking Trey Lance since he's not on my board yet and the other 2 are. But
if we're going off my board, Trevor Lawrence is in San Francisco.
Well, I mean, you can have him graded as the 3rd guy, but it's pretty much a lock.
Yeah,
it's a
lock that he's the number 1 pick. For sure. I don't question that he's the number 1 pick. I don't.
And as much as people want to try and say it's not a lock, it's a lock that Wilson's going to the Jets. They are very obviously in love with him, so I don't think it's a question at this point of which 2 quarterbacks are going to be off the board when San Francisco picks, which is why the only 3 guys you're hearing them tied to are the 2 guys we've already talked about and Trey Lance. But moving forward here, you go first. Who's your number 3 guy?
My number 3.
It's Trevor Lawrence. You're wrong.
Yes. My number 3 guy is Trevor Lawrence.
So this was the slot for me that I was debating back and forth with really hard. because I think these two guys are both high potential guys. But I have Wilson as number 3. I just think that. So obviously, at the state of their games right now, I think Wilson's the more ready player. But I think that Trey Lance has a tremendous amount more upside than Wilson because of his more elite athletic ability for running. And I think he has every bit as strong of an arm as the top other two top guys. And I think if he gets with the right coaching staff, which I'm hoping he gets drafted to San Francisco because Kyle Shanahan will have that kid throwing accurately by the end of this season. I think he could end up being the best guy in this draft when it's all said and done. That's the level of potential I have him at, which is why I have him at 2 and Wilson at 3, because I'm obviously putting Trevor Lawrence number 1. I think that was pretty clear earlier.
All right, so what I'll do is, because you gave your 1 through 5, you have Mac Jones 5, Justin Fields 4, Zach Wilson 3, Trey Lance 2, Trevor Lawrence 1. What I will do, so we could touch really on the top 3 guys, because we got to touch on Justin Fields and Mac Jones, I will just state my 5, and then we'll jump into these top 3 guys.
Well, if I was going to guess, I'd say your number 2 is Trey Lance and your number 1 is Wilson.
Incorrect. So my number 5, or my list is Justin Fields at 5, Mac Jones 4, Trevor Lawrence 3, Zach Wilson 2, and Trey Lance number 1. Okay, where do you want to start? Who do you want to hit on first? You want to hit on Trey? You want to hit on Zach? You want to hit on Trevor? Which one do you really want to dive into and talk about?
So,
or do you want to know why I have Trevor Lawrence 3?
I gotta know why Trevor Lawrence is 3 compared to these other 2 guys.
Okay.
His body of work is bigger than both of them, so you have a more you consistently know his level of play is elite. With these other 2 guys, you don't know that.
Well, that's okay. So with Zach Wilson, the biggest thing with Zach Wilson, and I will say this: do I believe Zach Wilson can be the most talented quarterback in this draft? Yes. I do. I do believe that Zach Wilson, there is a lot of talk, and a lot of people have compared him because of his arm talent to Patrick Mahomes. I understand that. If he is able to be a Patrick Mahomes, he is the best quarterback in this draft. But today, he's behind Trey Lance. With Trevor Lawrence, one thing with Lawrence that's always stood out to me during his whole 3 years, and it is something that I touched on with Fields and the Jones situation. When I look at a quarterback and when I dive in and I'm looking at guys that are going to the NFL that are going to make an impact right away, who are going to have long careers, and we're talking guys, Andrew Luck, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. Drew Brees, not so much. He was a top pick. He struggled a little bit in San Diego. Brady, he was a 6th-round choice. But when you go back and watch Brady's film, it wasn't like Brady was a 6th-round pick because of his talent and his footwork and his mechanics. He was a 6th-round pick because his arm talent he wasn't throwing the ball 70 yards down the field. I think that, and he was very unathletic when it came to running. So that's really what hurt Brady 400 years ago. But with Trevor Lawrence, and this applies a little bit to Zach Wilson, they both have very unorthodox throwing mechanics. Trevor Lawrence, I remember in his sophomore year, everyone was making a big deal. I didn't watch him his freshman year, and his sophomore year, everyone was making a big deal. I turned on a game. I forget who they were playing. And the first thing I noticed is the way he dropped back. And, I watched the game, and I'm sitting here like, there's no way this kid could be a number one prospect. The way his footwork didn't make sense for him to be lined up in a conversation the way people have him in, oh, it's Andrew Luck 2.0. He's the next big thing. Is he talentedly gifted? Yes. Is Trevor Lawrence going to come in right away and make Jacksonville a playoff team? No. I do believe that the Rookie of the Year is going to be Zach Wilson, not Trey Lance. Even though I have Trey Lance ranked number one. Trevor Lawrence, his footwork, it's improved. His footwork isn't really a big sound of concern to me anymore. This year, he did improve it. It does look a lot better. His biggest thing to me is his throwing mechanics. One thing is, you see it a lot with quarterbacks, one of them actually being Josh Allen. When he first came into the league, the way he threw the ball was so unorthodox and it didn't work in the league. And he worked a lot on fixing his throwing mechanics and the way he threw the ball and the way it came out of his hands. And, you see this year, Josh Allen could have won MVP. He had Buffalo at a high level. Trevor Lawrence, just the hype around him, watching his tape, looking at his mechanics, he can't be number one.
Are you saying that he has worse mechanics than Trey Lance does right now?
Yes.
Okay. So here's my one problem with that. So we already know where the dude's going. He's going to Jacksonville.
Yes.
When he gets to Jacksonville, he's going to be getting coached by Urban Meyer.
Correct.
Urban Meyer is one of the best workers with young quarterbacks in at least recent football history, correct?
Correct.
So if there is a problem with his mechanics, and that's his only problem, obviously, because arm strength's not one.
Nope.
And making reads isn't one because he does that well. And fitting a ball in the tight windows isn't one because he's accurate as hell. If his only problem is his delivery, and he's going to be working, but he's going to get one of the best coaches a young quarterback could get to help him develop. If there's a problem, obviously Urban Meyer is going to know that he has a release problem. If he had, if they think it's an issue, he's going to fix it. And there's not many coaches, I think, that would be able to fix it more efficiently or quicker than Urban Meyer at this point. I mean, other than going to like your elite guys that have been around the NFL level doing it for years. He's going to a good coach to help him with any problems he has as a quarterback. So that's why I have to keep him at one, because arm talent wise, I think he has the most arm talent by far.
Let me say this with Trevor Lawrence. Out of these 5 quarterbacks, now he has played a year more than anyone else. He has thrown, a couple hundred more passes than anyone else on this list. He does have the lowest completion percentage during the 3-year span, but to put it into a little bit more of a perspective,
but he's also played more quality opponents than everybody else on that list too.
To put it into a little bit more of a perspective, if you took these 5 guys and took their best year that they all had, take 1 year that they had, that was their best year in college. He also, again, has the lowest completion percentage. Again, he does play the best talent. But besides Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence has the second best receiving core on this list.
Well, obviously, he's at the only other major school on the list.
So, That
So that's
is
obvious, but how much better was his wide receiver core than its competition? I get he had some good guys. T. Higgins was there. He's a first round pick, and he played really well for the Bengals. So I mean, he's had guys to throw to. I get that, but he's also playing elite corners. One of the top corners in this draft is directly in his. Two of the top corners, I think, in this draft are directly in his conference in the ACC.
let me ask you a question. Zach Wilson, right? BYU.
Zach Wilson. I think the best way to sort this out between us is our comparisons. Because, again, guys, we're really nitpicking here. I think with these top three, I think they're all very close.
Oh, I do
I
too.
just have Trevor Lawrence one because I've seen the most of him. So I know on a consistent basis what he is. I I know for a fact that he's the talent level that he is because I've seen him do it 3 years in a major college conference. The
With
other two guys, I'm a little more weary with because, especially with Lance, very limited snap count. Very limited passes thrown even at the college level. So yes, he's been absolutely out of this world statistically, but the sample size is the smallest. So you don't. It's less proven. The other two are just less proven to me, so that's why they're a little bit behind Lawrence. I think the experience, I think, really matters at the next level. But we're really nitpicking. So let's give a comparison, top end and bottom end, of what you would say each guy. Like the lowest I could see Zach Wilson being, and the highest I could see him being compared to.
all right, real quick
So
before
let's
we
start with Zach Wilson first.
before we do that, real quick, I want to ask you one question about Zach Wilson.
Okay.
Zach Wilson, right? BYU.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Switch him with Mac Jones. Give Zach Wilson the weapons Mac Jones. Shit. Switch him with Trevor Lawrence.
But you're also switching his level of competition because BYU does not play anybody good.
Yes, I get that. But when your receivers are only 5'8",
I understand, and I have Zach Wilson rated high in this draft. I have him higher than Mac Jones, which tells you right there. I think if he had Mac Jones' situation, he would have been better because
and
I think he's better than Mac Jones. And if he had Justin Fields' situation in Ohio State, I think he would have been better because I think he's better than Justin Fields. But I don't think he's better than Lawrence, and I think Trey Lance has the potential to be like his high end potential is all timers.
if Trey Lance would have played this season, I'm not going to base it off the stats from 2 years ago. I'm basing it off of what I've seen from him. If he would have played this season, there'd be more conversations right now about Jacksonville taking Trey Lance instead of Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, and I think that Trey Lance would probably be going number 2 overall. If he played this past season and he would have played basically the same level he did his first year, then I don't think there's any way that even Zach Wilson would be getting drafted in front of him. Because that would be too good to pass up. The potential, the obvious high side potential would be there. So, again, I think it's nitpicky. I think the best way to illustrate who I think these guys are to people would be with our high end and low end comparison.
So you want to start with Mac Jones?
We can start with Mac Jones.
All right, I guess high end for me would be. It's funny because this is a team that could draft him. High end Matt Ryan.
Okay. I think his high end is Ryan Tannehill. He's going to need help in the run game. He's going to need help from a good coaching staff, from a well-coached defense, etc. He needs help. He's not going to elevate the players around him. Players around him will elevate him.
Let me state something.
Um,
Matt Ryan from his currently, so after his MVP season, I don't think he's going to be Matt Ryan of the MVP year. I think he's going to be post MVP Matt Ryan at a high level.
So you think he's going to be a quarterback who gets a lot of yardage and touchdowns in garbage time of games because they're getting blown out? Because
Yes.
that's Matt Ryan. Okay. So, yeah, I could see that too. Yeah, I think Matt Ryan, Ryan Tannehill, fairly close to the same level in my book.
Yeah.
So I think we have him, his ceiling to us is about the same. I think his floor is, floor is like a Sam Bradford, Nick Foles.
I think his floor is a little bit lower than that. I believe his floor is Mark Sanchez.
I just think his football IQ will keep him around as a backup more than Sanchez, and I think he'd be a better backup than Sanchez.
Now,
Just a little bit.
don't
just
get me
a little
wrong.
bit.
I do think that he, as a backup, could be more or less like a Nick Foles. But I feel like his level of play style would be more of a Sanchez. I would have him right in between. My perfect comparison. He's Ryan Tannehill. He's Ryan Tannehill of the Dolphins.
As a floor, yeah, I could agree with that.
No. That's my middle. That's my. I actually see him being Ryan Tannehill.
Okay.
Like I'm gonna say my ceiling. He could possibly turn out to be.
Struggles because he's probably with the wrong coaching staff.
Yeah.
He's probably not with a good coaching staff. Probably not the best talent around him, so he's gonna struggle. Again, a lot of it's gonna depend on where these guys go, man. I don't think it's stated enough how much coaching staff and team around matters to a young quarterback developing. But so that's Mac Jones out of the way. So Justin Fields, what's your floor on Justin Fields?
Josh Dobbs.
Okay, that's an interesting name. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in that same area. I think Josh Dobbs is a pretty good floor comparison. I was just going to compare him to one of his teammates because I think he could fizzle out just as fast as any one of them.
When I say his ceiling, you're gonna ask me, how the hell do I have him at 5?
Ceiling.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that, but I still understand how you have him at 5 because I agree. I think he could be Deshaun Watson-esque slash, I don't know, there's not too many other guys like that, but just I think he could be a very good semi-mobile quarterback in this league if he works on the right stuff and if he lands with the right team. But
I just feel like his upside is so far away.
I think he's a guy who needs to sit a year. I don't think you should play him as a rookie. His hope is to get drafted somewhere where they have like an older, like, man, if he could go to Pittsburgh and sit behind Roethlisberger for a year, that might be a good situation for him. Something like that where he's going to be behind an older starter for a year or two and be able to learn from a guy who's been in the league. I know Packers fan would kill me, but,
Yeah, another one?
Good. Maybe they draft Justin Fieldsy in the first round here. Maybe that, they don't seem to be in love with Aaron Rodgers anymore. So
All right, who's next?
So I think the reason he's so low is because yes, he could be Deshaun Watson, but yeah, he could also be Josh Dobbs. I think he has the lowest low of anybody in the draft.
Yes. He's the biggest question mark.
Yeah. So we'd be moving on to the top three now. So one I'm interested to get out there since you already said half of it, I think. Let's go to Zach Wilson. You have this man's upside as I believe you said Patrick Mahomes.
Arm talent.
So is that your top end comparison, or do you have somebody else?
I mean, to me, I feel like that might be the ceiling. Like, if he comes in and he balls out and I have him winning Rookie of the Year.
What if he slips to 3 and goes to San Francisco? Because obviously, I think we both think that that's the best destination for any of these quarterbacks.
Okay, so an actual comparison. So, my ceiling is Patrick Mahomes because of his arm talent. But if he slips to 3, the actual guy that I see him comparing his game to and his style is a right-handed version of an ex-BYU quarterback, of an ex-San Francisco 49er, Steve Young. I believe that's what his career is going to be. He's going to be a Steve Young type quarterback. I think I just broke Rob. All right, there's Rob. All right, Rob, you all right there?
Yeah, I'm back now. I had a bit of a technical difficulty there.
Did I make you leave by my comparison?
No, I missed the comparison on the low end, actually.
Okay, so... All right, so my high end is Patrick Mahomes because of his arm talent.
Okay.
My realistic evaluation of him is an ex-BYU quarterback, an ex-San Francisco 49er quarterback, that you said that if he slips to 3, he is a right-handed version of Steve Young.
Oh, my. That's hefty, bro.
That is.
I think that's more hefty than comparing him to Mahomes.
That is what I see from him. That's my realistic comparison, but okay.
That's my high-end comparison.
With that being said, his low end is Johnny Manziel.
Okay, at least we by the way have the exact same low end.
Yeah, I mean,
and part of the reason for that low end is there's been reports that he's a bit cocky, a bit arrogant, and that's not usually a good makeup for a quarterback. But like you said, arm talent wise, the kid has a ton of arm talent. He has a cannon, an absolute cannon for an arm, and he can dot it on an eye, it seems like. So I would have his high side as a modern day Steve Young. I think that's pretty damn high praise too. I have his low end as Johnny Manziel as well. Like I said, part of that is because there's rumors that he shares a very similar attitude to Mr. Manziel, which is part of the reason Johnny Manziel couldn't make it in the NFL. So then, at that point, that leaves us 2 last guys. So which one would you want to do first there, boss man?
I have no problem doing either or, so you could go ahead and just shoot me them. I got them both ready.
Give me your high side from Mr. Lawrence.
Peyton Manning.
Okay.
A little bit more athletic, but Peyton Manning.
I I agree with that. Um, my realistic comparison to him is a slightly stronger armed Andrew Luck.
My realistic comparison to him is a more athletic Eli Manning.
Okay, and if you're giving me early Eli, then yeah, I'd still take that.
Yeah,
Um,
I believe he
I kind of
shows.
think that Eli Manning is his floor. I don't think the kid has a low floor because I've seen so much of him. I would be very, very shocked if he's a bust.
His okay, so I have him realistically being a little bit more of a athletic Eli. I think his upside is Peyton, or his high side is Peyton. His low side to me, you know, it's really close. I do believe Eli was the better of the two quarterbacks. I believe his low side is Philip Rivers.
Okay, so you still have him as
Yeah,
same as me. Low side is a cusp Hall of Famer.
yeah. I think me thinking he's more or less going to be an Eli Manning type quarterback um, isn't so much of a knock. When I say low end Philip Rivers, I just feel like he has the opportunity to possibly win a couple Super Bowls depending on where he gets. Well, not where he gets drafted because he's going to Jacksonville, but
What they do around him.
yeah,
Which so far in this offseason, even prepping for his arrival, I think they've done a pretty good job with semi-limited resources. So, because they didn't use all of their resources to sign the guys they signed, so I think that so far it looks like they're going to do a good job with him. They do a good job putting a team around him, and we both know Urban Meyer can definitely, is going to be a big benefit to this kid. I think whether Urban Meyer pans out as a head coach of the NFL or not, I do believe he is that good working with young quarterbacks. So even if he's not a great head coach, it's still going to benefit Trevor Lawrence to have had him in some of his early development years. So that leaves our buddy Trey Lance, who you have number 1 and I have number 2, as our final comparison. So I want to start the other way with
okay.
him. What's your lowest side that you see him being? What's his bottom end?
I went back and forth with this. Uh, Donovan McNabb.
Okay. That's actually, I think, a really good comparison. It's not somebody I really initially thought of, but yeah, I could see if things go a little off for him being a McNabb. A very frustrating starter.
All right, I actually want to change this. So I've been playing around with this. I think there's a lot of comparisons with Trey Lance for me. I'm gonna say his low end is Jason Campbell.
Okay.
I think that's
Yeah,
his ceiling. I mean that's his that's his
his
basement.
basement. His
Yeah,
basement. I That actually I think is a better comparison for his basement because like we said earlier, such a small sample size. You know, this kid looks with the eye test to be completely talented, but if for some reason he busts at the NFL level, with the lack of college experience, really, would it shock a lot of people? I don't think it would. So, and I don't think Jason Campbell was a terrible quarterback either.
no, I mean he just
So I
wasn't a
mean,
guy
you're
that's
saying
gonna.
you're saying at low end he's a bottom end mid to middle tier starter, which could end up being the case because of a lack of experience, so you don't know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah,
So then, I think we agree pretty close to what his basement would be. Your realistic comparison to him right now.
this is why I wanted to save Donovan, because I feel like Donovan's not that bad. So Campbell would be my basement, and it's a combination for realistic comparison. I think he's a combination between McNabb and Steve McNair.
Okay. Big bodied but mobile.
Strong
But
arm,
strong arm.
struggles a little bit with accuracy. Has the footwork. It's kind of where I'm sitting with him.
So you took mine on your second choke there, because my realistic comparison was going to be Steve McNair. I think he's built big like McNair, can move, obviously. I think he might struggle being as consistently good as he was at the college level and the pro level, which, McNair was good, but he was a little up and down. So that's my realistic comparison, and I'll shoot right into my top end comparison. I think his top end comparison to me is like Steve Young's arm and accuracy with Randall Cunningham's athleticism.
Okay.
Because I think he has the ability to be a little more athletic than even Steve Young was, which would put him on that kind of Randall Cunningham level. I don't think he's Mike Vick athletic, because I don't think he's that fast.
That's actually a comparison I'm hearing. Not because of his speed, but because what he could do with the ball outside of the pocket. That he's Michael Vick with the ball.
So my thing on this game film I've watched is, I think he's elite athletically. I think Michael Vick was like uber elite.
I agree.
So that's why I put him at Randall, because I think Cunningham was one of the most elite athletic quarterbacks ever.
Yes.
But not quite at the same level of like Mike Vick, and I can already put him there, Lamar Jackson. I mean, you would talk about uber athletes. That's the level I'm talking. Another high-end comparison,
don't steal mine,
which is going to sound kind of weird, or another realistic comparison I've been thinking about saying, but I just got to hope people take it the right way. Realistically, he's RG3, but pre-injury. Like what RG3 showed he could be before the injury, because I think he has that level of athleticism. And people forget that how good RG3 looked before that injury happened. The tail off, I think, had a lot to do with that injury very drastically changing his athletic ability, which, obviously drastically changes the game.
With the RG3,
be something like a young RG3, that would, I think, be a close comparison as well.
With the RG3 comparison, I believe Trey Lance is already a better quarterback throwing the ball than RG3 ever was.
Yeah, I mean, but
up and from head,
it grew very well that first year in the NFL.
He did, but from head to toe, mechanically sound, Trey Lance, I believe, is.
Oh, I think he has better mechanics. I'm just saying, like, if he could put up the type of stats that RG3 put up that year.
Okay.
I think he has the ability to put up those kind of numbers as a rookie. And I think those are really good numbers as a rookie. Like, RG3 had one of the most impressive rookie quarterback years ever in NFL history. So that's what I'm saying. I think he could put up a historical rookie year. I'm talking strictly as a rookie, I would compare him to RG3. Obviously, I think his career will be better because RG3's was so short, but I think he could have that level of a rookie year coming out. I think he's that talented. I know you would hate to see this, but a team I would like to see Trey Lance go to, even though I know there's
No,
probably no way he
no,
would get there,
no, no,
is the
no,
Washington football team.
no, no, no,
Oh, I know you don't want that.
no.
I think he could. Oh man, with those two receivers, the numbers he could put up.
Um, my ceiling for him is why I keep saying no.
Which is?
Russell Wilson.
Oh boy.
Hence why,
Yeah.
hence why he's the number one quarterback on my prospect list.
And I would compare Russell Wilson to Steve Young. So I think we're kind of in the same realm of what we think he can be, just using a different player to get there.
I know we talked right before the pod that there was a writer, Dion. I don't remember his name. He wrote an article that Trey Lance is comparable to Andrew Luck. I know you said no, no, no. I did end up.
Only reason I say that is because I think it's obvious that his athleticism is on a very different level from Andrew Luck's. So
I think he was trying to compare the arm,
but he wasn't. If it's comparing of the arm, then I think that's very close because I think Andrew Luck had a strong arm, but not like the strong one of the strongest in NFL history, but an above average arm.
Yeah.
And I think Lance has a good arm, but not like a throw it 90 yards in the air arm. Not like a Brett Favre arm, but like a good arm.
I actually think he has the best arm in this draft.
He probably does have the strongest arm in this draft, but I don't know that any of these guys are at that like super elite. I think they're all well above average to elite, but like as far as like the top guys ever for throw power, I don't think they're at that level.
No, we're not going to get that.
Not out of this draft.
I don't think out of a lot of drafts well, sports have changed.
That's the level I put. That's the level I put Allen at in Buffalo.
He's close.
Josh Allen can shut the ball over the mountains just like Uncle Rico. All right.
He's close. I mean, if we're talking talent,
he's got a cannon. Patty Mahomes has that elite level cannon too.
If we're talking elite level talent or elite level cannon, with Zach Wilson having the upside because of the arm talent, then Zach Wilson would have to be discussed in this conversation if Zach Wilson can put it all together. That's really the big question mark with him.
He has the ability to maybe get there, but he's not there right now.
No.
It's not like he's one of those guys coming out. Like, when Favre came out, you knew Favre could sling it.
Yeah, Zach Wilson isn't getting compared to Patrick Mahomes because of his arm strength. He's getting compared to Patrick Mahomes. I wanted to make sure this was clear. Because of the way that he can change direction with his arm and the way his body is able to be flexible and still be very accurate with the ball. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have a strong arm, but the thing is he could be facing you backward. He could be looking the opposite way and still make a 40-yard pass downfield. And from what we've seen during his combines and during the regular season, that 40-yard pass is still going to be pretty damn accurate.
Yeah, no, I agree. His ability to throw on the run, like Mahomes does, and be that accurate while doing it, is part of his upside to me. But so I mean, I think we're we got these guys moved around a little differently from each other, like a lot of people do. But I think we made it clear, which a lot of people don't, how close it really is between those top three guys.
It's very close. I think this is a draft where these three quarterbacks 15 years from now could all be going into the Hall of Fame, with all of them having at least one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, if they hit their ceilings, this is a draft that is. I can't think of the third guy in that draft, and I can't even think if he was any good. The Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning draft.
That was Ben Roethlisberger, I believe.
Thank you. That's kind of what he was later on in the draft. There was somebody in between them, but Roethlisberger was the guy I was looking for. Them three guys, how they're all Hall of Famers. The only one who doesn't have a ring is Phillip Rivers. In all honesty, I don't think Eli Manning or Phillip Rivers should be in the Hall of Fame. Eli's going to get in because he's got 2 Super Bowls, but his defense carried him. I think this.
Super Bowls, but he also has those
the MVPs
passes too that won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But I do believe that.
The reason he gets in is because you literally can't tell the story of the NFL without bringing him up.
Well, that's because Brady would have 9.
Exactly, but because not only did they beat the undefeated Patriots, just winning those 2 Super Bowls, you can't talk about the NFL without talking about his name. Where with Phillip Rivers, you can. Unfortunately,
my takeaway from this draft, I know I'm going a little bit off of the Eli conversation. My takeaway from this draft is that 3 years from now, when people are breaking down the quarterback tiers, that tier 1 is Herbert, it's Burrow, it's Mahomes, it's Carson Wentz, and these 3 guys.
Yeah, I mean, the hope is that they all hit their upsides. That you're getting a huge infusion of young top tier quarterbacks. So, I mean, this could be a really, really good quarterback draft again. But I think at least 2 of these guys are going to be top tier starters, if not 3. And so unfortunately, I think the other 2 are going to be kind of, busts for being first round picks.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh, and we didn't bring him up. I did bring up Kyle Trask real quick. Sam Ehlinger, or however you say his name, the kid from Texas.
Sam Ehlinger.
Nobody think that he's going to be anything in the NFL. He's not. He's a Jake Locker. And he's probably going to be a day 3 pick anyway, so I just know the Eagles have been talking about him.
I honestly believe he should have stayed at Texas another year.
Well, this was his senior year.
I thought he was a junior this year.
No, I'm pretty sure it was his senior year. I could actually look that up, but I'm pretty sure he was a senior.
Okay, I could be wrong. I didn't watch a lot of college this year because I am a Texas fan and they freaking stunk.
He's 22. Is he a senior?
Junior, I think.
Senior.
Okay.
I don't think he played his freshman year. Hold on. That might be why you are thinking that he's a junior.
I thought he was a redshirt.
Let me see. Senior. 2017. He did play.
Okay.
Yeah, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of stunk that his last year was a COVID year too, though a shortened year. But he's a guy. The only way he'll do anything in the NFL is obviously he's got to sit behind somebody in the right system and really learn and improve. Um, but I don't. I just don't think he has the arm talent to be elite at that level.
I know I said Jake Locker. He's more or less going to be a Colt McCoy from Texas.
Yeah, I just don't think he has the elite level arm strength, elite level accuracy for the NFL. I mean, McCoy was super accurate. He just hadn't. He's been nowhere near had the arm strength for the NFL.
Yeah. All right, so you want to wrap this up just real quick?
Yep.
Throw your 5 out there. I'll throw my 5 out there, and then we will be done.
So, in review, my 5 from the bottom was Mac Jones at 5, Justin Fields at 4, Wilson at 3, Trey Lance at 2, and the Golden Boy Trevor Lawrence at 1.
My 5, we'll say 6. 5B, Kyle Trask. I have to mention him. I do believe that he has the potential to have a better career than both Mac Jones and Justin Fields. But Trask is at 5B. I have Justin Fields 5A, Mac Jones 4, Trevor Lawrence 3, Zach Wilson 2, and Mr. Trey Lance number 1 quarterback prospect. This was probably my favorite show that we've done so far. I enjoyed having the conversation with you, Rob, hitting on things, you asking me questions, me being able to ask you questions. I felt like this was our best one.
Yeah, also because you got a little bit. Because we did have such different answers.
Yeah.
Where they were at. But then I kind of thought, like, when we started doing comparisons, that our comparisons were going to line up, even though we had them at different levels, which is what I wanted to show the people, like, valuing them basically the same comparison-wise. We just have them in a different order because we value certain traits more than others.
Yeah.
I value more about the guy going into the draft. Like, if I'm the number 1 pick, I'd rather take Lawrence, who I know is going to be good. For sure. Like, Lawrence has the highest base. You know what I mean? He's I guess you could call it the safest bet to be good. And that's why I have him 1. Because if I had the number 1 pick, that's who I would take.
So that wraps up our top 5 list. We do have a baseball show coming tomorrow, and we do have UFC 261 preview on Friday. I feel like it's been a while since we've done some UFC, but we do have a pay-per-view this weekend, so we will hit on that Friday. And I believe that is it. Is there anything you'd like to add, Rob?
Nah, just a shout out to our viewers and subscribers. Thank you guys for doing so. Please, if you enjoy the product, continue to, spread the word to your friends, family, whatever. And we appreciate it.
And I hope the people that were bashing me see my point of view on Trevor Lawrence being 3. That's all I gotta say. We'll be back tomorrow. You could always find us on YouTube, Philly Frenzy Podcast, or on Twitter. It's M Hathaway 23 or Rob Denka. And Philly Frenzy out.